You. Thank you, Laureen, for that great introduction. But before you go, I just really wanted to say a big thank you to Laureen, Lucy, and all the Reed Meadham guys who've managed to get this market up and running despite the horrible weather. They literally have been working 24/7, and I don't think we give them enough thanks. So round of applause for them. Gosh, I've been asked to speak twice in 3 years at MIPCOM. Some may say that's an honor, others might say it's a curse. Truth, it's always good to be back on what feels like home turf. Maybe it's what you get from sticking around for so long. It's my 33rd year in Cannes, which makes me seriously ancient. But genuinely, it is always a privilege to speak at this market, which has been part of my professional and personal life for so long. I've been back here with every job, from poacher to gamekeeper, and now back again. I've made some of my firmest friends here, a wonderful cross-section of crazy types, you know who you are, from all over the world, who have provided so much fun and friendship over the years. And now I'm back, pounding the aisles, and on occasion sipping the same rosé. But my new surroundings at Endemol Shine have brought some additional perspectives that I'd like to share with you today. My first visit came in 1982. I was with the Jim Henson Company, and a new Muppet TV series was about to launch. Wow, how times have changed. Here we are, a new Muppet series is back on our screens, and it's reassuring to know that a 60-year-old frog can still generate so much excitement despite all the seismic changes over the years. Starting my career in children's television, I experienced at first hand the sheer thrill and excitement of being part of a show that reached large audiences around the world, real talked about television. Working in kids' TV also convinced me very early on of the value of a full 360-degree approach and the importance of being open-minded to all opportunities for distribution. Whatever the platform, whoever in the pipe, kids producers saw their shows as brands before anyone else in TV did, and were the first to embrace the enormous opportunities that the explosion in first multi-channel and then online choice brought. Competition for kids' attention saw these brands spread into new markets, created toys, games, apps, events, clothing lines, whatever the format, platform or product. If it was true to the character's brand and values, it was developed. So yes, times have changed. Choice is now infinite, with channels and content appealing to all interests, down to the smallest niche. But at its heart, television is a mass medium with enormous impact that reflects our societies. It allows communities to represent themselves, to share stories, and to communicate ideas. We've been told that we're in the midst of a golden age. Looking at some of the fantastic shows launching here in Cannes, it's clear that creatively the bar is very high. And though fragmented, overall TV viewership is holding up, with the audiences watching an average of nearly 4 hours a day in Europe and more in North America. TV, it seems, has never been in better health. So why can it sometimes feel that as an industry, TV struggles with its self-esteem, consistently feeling under threat and highlighting its shortcomings? We can sometimes talk like this is an industry past its best rather than in its prime. There have been many changes over the time that I've been coming here, some game-changing in programming and technology, a lot in the false dawn category. I've heard of the death of television predicted too many times from stages such as this one, or that it is time to surrender TV's position at the heart of our lives. Somehow we always manage to feel under threat, from some newcomer to our shores. There is always a perceived new enemy. But I simply don't share that view. It perhaps helps that by nature I'm an optimist, but as I genuinely believe that us as an industry, and particularly for us as content creators, we have never had it so good. Although life has never been more complicated, it is all the more brilliant because of it. The appetite for content has never been so voracious, and it has never been a better time to be in the storytelling business. Relative newcomers such as Netflix, Amazon, or Hulu are often painted as the disruptors, threatening to topple the old media establishment. But they've also provided new opportunities for talent, more windows in our distribution chain, and most importantly, more opportunities for viewers to watch their favorite shows and to discover many more. Clearly, they are having an impact on the funding and distribution models that we've all been used to. But Netflix launching House of Cards was a brilliantly old-fashioned plan in many ways. Launch a proven format with an A-list talent that has great fan base and a track record, and make it available as widely as possible. It was marketed like a premium movie, and its assets were curated as a brand from the outside, with terrific use of social and digital media to build community and keep fans engaged between the series. I also hear rather too much emphasis on the nature of screen. We still define ourselves in closed groups: TV, people, film, folk, digital natives. Now, I'm a simple creature, as a lot of you know, but these distinctions have never helped me to understand the challenges of the future. Instead, I find them all rather a distraction. When I respond to a powerful storyline, my emotional connection is the same, whether I'm watching at the cinema, on a plane, or at home watching on my iPad. It doesn't matter what screen it's on. Also, when I watch X Factor or our own Big Brother with an eye on Twitter, I don't think I'm engaging in second screen activity. It doesn't feel like I'm moving away from my traditional night's telly at all. By itself, social media doesn't get close to the bond between a program and a viewer who has settled down to relax after a long day in the office. Alongside a program, we know it can be super potent. In the US, about 85% of active Twitter users have tweeted about TV when watching. For me, it calls into question any lack of confidence in television's power to be at the forefront of the battle for people's eyeballs and attention. People want to devour stories of whatever genre, length, or structure. Demand has never been so strong, from snacking on mobile devices to losing whole weekends at a time on binge watching. So it's not technology that is the threat, nor is there being too much good television. Do you remember our distinctly un-golden age, where accusation was loads of channels with bugger all on, or 57 channels and nothing on, as Bruce Springsteen sung? Isn't having an abundance of things to watch, particularly in drama, a rather high-class problem to have? It means the bar is continually pushed higher, and we only serve our audiences better as a result. For me, these are examples at the top of my reasons to be cheerful list about our collective passion as an industry in this dynamic. But how do we navigate the new world of opportunity? How do we adapt to its demands if we are to stay ahead of the game in this rapidly changing landscape? I'm sure all of us here have always had audiences at the heart of our thinking. But in today's world, producers and content owners need to think more broadly. We need to focus on building a direct relationship with our customers, the audiences. And that means moving our center of gravity even further towards a focus on our programs as brands. In our transition from a world of few channels to multi-channel to almost beyond channels, the power of brands has never been more important to help cut through the clutter and command attention in a crowded world. They act as insurance policies to the viewer, looking for something they can rely on to engage or entertain or educate. Also, it might seem an obvious point to make, but audiences respond to that simple human emotion of trust, be it in people, channels, or programs. The audience still trusts well-established and clearly positioned channels to curate content for them, as I learned at Sky. And the fusion of the right program on the right channel home is more than a simple commission or transaction. When a show finds the right home and the two work closely together, that's when the magic happens. But outside of channels, the stock of programming brands is rising. More than ever, platforms and channels need defining programs, and these super brands have an increasingly direct relationship with viewers or customers. Producers are increasingly doing more than just making and selling the shows. There is no passion for a program more like that of the creators, and this should be harnessed and not kept at arm's length. The duty of the IP owner is to strategically manage the growth and development of these program brands. It's hard enough to launch any new show in today's competitive market, let alone keep it at the top of its game year after year across multiple platforms and in hundreds of territories. Those shows and teams that walk the line between reinvention and familiarity to produce long-running shows which are part of people's lives, from entertainment, factual, or drama, I salute you. Just look at a series like Survivor, now in its 31st season on CBS. And over the last 12 months, we saw 54 series of MasterChef in 32 markets and 31 Big Brother series in 69 markets. These really are the super brands. MasterChef is a fantastic example of a brand that has continuously evolved and adapted over time as it has traveled. I'd like to show you a clip from the great Endemol Shine Aussie Fennessy brothers that heralded the return of the show for its 7th season in Australia.
The contestant has to have the ability to walk into this kitchen and put their heart on their sleeve, show us honesty, show us integrity, show us their dream, and push every single day that they're in here.
They have to lose the fear, which is number one.
You have to have palate. You have to understand how a dish goes together, but you have to have something more. You have to have humility. You have to have self-belief. The belief that they can achieve amazing things.
So that's the programming with some values. Program brands have been built over time with trust, and people have been the purest personification of that trust, from the first anchormen and women of TV news to the YouTube stars of today. And that trust goes further, spanning the relationships between producer, platform, and talent. At Endemol Shine, we are really proud to be an off-screen home for production talents such as Charlie Brooker, Ryan Seacrest, Steve Harvey, Idris Elba, and more, through their own labels or exclusive development deals, as we are to the home of Michelle Phan. Now, I'm guessing many of you might not have heard of Michelle, despite the fact that her YouTube channel has topped 1 billion views, and she's still only 28. God damn it. And she brilliantly illustrates the potential of partnerships. Earlier this year, our digital video arm, Endemol Beyond, teamed up with Michelle in the US to launch a global premium lifestyle network called Icon, available across multiple platforms, including YouTube, Facebook, connected TVs and mobile devices. Using our international footprint and local expertise, Icon is now rolling out across Western Europe and Asia. And here in Cannes, our sales team are pitching digital formats from Icon, both to online and traditional TV platforms. And it's a model of partnership that we have now extended with our latest deal, which is straight off the press with Awesomeness TV, taking their unique content and one of the biggest Generation Z brands in the world to new international markets together. Because in the so-called old days, it was simple. You either own something or competed with it. But collaboration is the new world order. Whole legions of companies appear every day to deliver new products and services to our market, offering new routes to engage fans and customers. And I find that incredibly exciting. These are the types of partnerships we want to form at Endemol Shine, working with new creators who have come from different media or disciplines. I believe big established companies can learn from the newcomers, the platforms learning from the content creators. I really believe that it's through partnership that we will all move forward, whether you're a global production house or a one-man band. Of course, there are reasons why partnerships are so important. One, as we know, is purely a question of economics. The cost of producing high-quality, ambitious content, particularly brand-defining scripted series, is eye-wateringly high. Shared or deficit funding of some form is more essential than ever before. And with the explosion of truly international content, both in scripted and non-scripted, there have never been so many potential creative collaborations available. Who would have imagined 10 or even 5 years ago that the Brits and the French could team up to make a truly bilingual Anglo-Franco drama series based on a Scandi series that was in itself a co-production between the Danes and the Swedes? I'm of course talking about The Fabulous Tunnel, from the teams at Kudos and Shine France, which was adapted from Filmland's original The Bridge or Bron. I was very lucky to be involved in the original commissioning of that in the UK at my previous role at Sky, alongside our partners at Canal+, which premiered actually in this very room. And I can tell you it was a truly collaborative collaboration in every sense of the word. So here's a sneak preview of the second series.
We've got a vehicle from the French side, seemingly abandoned.
T'es au courant de la fille dans le tunnel, les parents qui ont disparu?
It's like they've vanished into thin air.
The French want to get a little shout. Make sure they remember what Her Britannic Majesty requires.
Detective Chief Inspector Carl Roebuck. And you are?
I'm missing a training course. Tomorrow we were supposed to be tested for our personality types.
Fun-loving, popular and sensitive, outstanding people skills.
Okay, you're teasing me now.
Yes, I suppose I am. This is certainly an unusual one. If it was a hit, why spare the child?
Mayday! To find somebody else flying the plane!
Uber cool. If you want to see a bit more, you need to come to the Endemol Shine stand. I think that geographical diversity is fantastic for viewers, and from my perspective, working within a wide-ranging group of production companies is a total privilege to have creative colleagues in all corners of the world. I believe it what makes us creatively more exciting. That's why I sometimes get a little frustrated when people just try to define Endemol Shine by size alone. So I will finish by saying a few words about scale, because there have been more than a few words said on the subject over recent months. I stand here as CEO of a newly merged production powerhouse, as Variety likes to call us, which is definitely a good phrase. I'm sure there will be some of you in the room today who view consolidation and the growth of the so-called mega indies as a worrying trend for our creative industry. There is a concern that scale leads to management by numbers, the tyranny of process, and reduced creative empowerment. There is also the rather isolationist argument from some that foreign investment inevitably leads to a loss of cultural identity. This won't surprise you to hear, but I don't believe for a minute that consolidation, foreign ownership, or indeed size or scale mean one thing or another for creativity, particularly the way that we operate at Endemol Shine. As with the two respective groups before our collective whole, we are not set up to be a set of franchises directed from the center, possibly like a US studio. But where scale becomes meaningful and far more interesting is when it's combined with collaboration and the smart use of connections, powered by our greatest asset, our stable of programming brands. It is variety that is our major strength. Diversity is the root of our substance as a truly creative business. And on that note, I have one last clip I'd like to share with you from the group. It's an award-winning piece of content which was seen live by 21 million viewers earlier this year. It's not Broadchurch, Black Mirror, Big Brother, or The Bridge. It's about bunnies.
Easter 2015. We casted 10 unique characters. We trained them for 3 months and made each of them a top athlete and a celebrity for the biggest Easter competition, the world's first live sports event for a commercial break, the Rabbit Race.
Los! Und jetzt gucken wir, wer hier vorne liegt. Wieder guter Start von Sir Hobbletop mit der 7, aber es ist hier vorne, es ist die 3, die gewinnt. Und das heißt, zum zweiten Mal gewinnt Pushel to the Limit beim Osterhasenrasen.
The biggest TV studio, 8 cameras, a live director, and a famous sports commentator for Media Markt, Germany's leading electronics retailer. Simultaneously live on the 9 most important private TV stations, on YouTube, our website, and on the biggest German news site. 21 million were watching, more than the Soccer World Cup semi-final, because we turned all MediaMarkt receipts into a betting slip. Each MediaMarkt receipt had a number between 0 and 9. If the rabbit with your number 1, you got 50% of your money back. Our sports stars promoted the event across all media the weeks before, with tons of content. We had portraits of their glamorous life, collector cards, all the insights about their training, professional recreation sessions, scientific nutrition facts, and juicy private video chats, leading to 250 million net reach, plus 259% interaction with the brand's Facebook page, more traffic in stores, and more sales. So for Media Markt, it was the happiest Easter ever.
Adorable. That campaign was the brainchild of the famous Dr. Rami and the Endemol Beyond in Germany team, and was awarded the Golden Lion this year, right here in Cannes. It perfectly illustrates some of the points I've made today about thinking differently, collaboration, diversity, and the power of partnership. If one thing 30 years of coming to this particular cauldron of ideas and commerce has taught me, it is rather than having seen it all, in fact, we ain't seen nothing yet. We've seen a world of limited channels develop into a world of hundreds of channels, and now we're arguably entering into a world beyond channels. This is significant change, and at that pace of change is only going to accelerate. As Google's Eric Schmidt said, let's keep asking the big questions and have a healthy disregard for the impossible. Change creates winners and losers. It is destabilizing at times, creates anxiety as well as ambition, and forces us all out of our comfort zone. Change is not always easy, but I do believe it's a good thing. So let us use past experiences and new relationships to help us navigate and embrace the opportunities we have ahead of us, and do so from a position of confidence, not fear. Maybe TV was a little late coming to the digital party, but let's face it, it wouldn't be a party without us. So I'll leave the last word to that wise frog Kermit, who once declared, "Life's like a movie, write your own ending." Thank you.
Thank you, Sophie. So we've got 5 minutes for a bit of a chat. I thought it was really fascinating that you talked a lot there about the scale, and I imagine one of the interesting things you've been doing over the past few months is managing that scale. How do you ensure that 1 + 1 doesn't equal 1.5 and equals 3? What are the challenges you have to overcome to ensure that that merger is greater than the sum of its parts?
Well, we start off from a really positive basis that we have 120 different production companies. So we're not looking to merge those together. They all flourish and create off their own back. Obviously, where the kind of focus was on integration was more at the kind of group level and back office level. So creatively, actually, I think I always liken it to we're like a flotilla of different size ships occasionally they go off left and right and they try and board each other now and again, but as a whole, we're going in the same direction, but quite independent.
What's been the hardest thing you've had to do? If there was one big challenge that's kept you awake at night, what was that thing that you had to crack since January?
I think it's being considerate for people. You know, we're a people business. People have hearts. People have done amazing jobs. But in some occasions, I just didn't need 2 people, I needed 1. Yeah. And that was hard. But the one thing I was really determined to do was to do it as fast as possible, because living in limbo land is no place to be.
So having done that now and having this federal system, just operationally, if a format emerges in the UK, for instance, and you've got Endemol France or Shine France, what happens in terms of who gets the deal on that? How do you...
Well, you've picked on the one territory that we haven't merged yet.
Right.
So if it's Endemol, it goes to Endemol, Shine, it goes to Shine. But I think what is more exciting is the network that the company has, you know, which is fantastically managed by Lisa Perrin and her team, where as soon as something starts bubbling up around the world, they get it out around the system as quickly as possible. And there's no barrier of entry of any production company anywhere in the world picking up this format and going straight to pitch it.
And I know you talked an awful lot again about how the television business, for what it is these days, shouldn't really worry too much about, or should be more confident in itself. Yet you also talked a lot about the foregrounding of relationships with digital, the Awesomeness TV deal, developing direct relationships with the audience. All of those things would seem to suggest that the traditional channel as the gatekeeper of finance and creativity should be worried about their future. If you were running a channel as opposed to a content business, in this day and age, what would you be doing now to ensure that their survival was as successfully and has as much opportunity as yours as a content business?
Well, I think the pie is changing shape differently. I mean, everybody always talks about the death of the last media at the kind of advantage of the next, but actually the film business is still running quite happily. What I think, putting my old channel hat on, is that you are always on the search for that distinctive programming that cuts through. And that's what you live and die for. And hopefully at Endemol Shine, we are delivering those.
Let's talk a little bit about the sort of revenues and the P&L in terms of what the digital component is and how it's changing. What percentage of the business currently relies on digital, i.e. off television screen, and in future, how's that going to change over the next few years, do you think? And what is going to drive that change?
Well, about now we have maybe about 5% of our revenues coming from euphemistically what they put in the budget line as other, which is not the sales to VOD, or because we regard that all as telly. This for me is in digital brand partnerships, is our MCNs, it's in licensing and merchandising, it's in live events. And I think truly that kind of connection that we can create, because we have such powerful brands. And you look at something like MasterChef, which is really like a kids brand because it actually has, you can go the full wheel around it. And we've really just got to pick up the pace on that. And you know, it's very exciting for me because this is a bit back to my old trade.
What will it be in 2 years' time, that percentage, do you think, the other?
I would think in the region of about a quarter of our revenues. I'd be totally delighted if we can get it there.
Well, we are out of time, ladies and gentlemen. Big hand, Sophie Turner-Laing.